If I say the word diabetes, what comes to your mind?
A big, major problem if it's not taken care of.
Okay, and then tell me a little bit about your experience.
August of '06, I was working on the job. I was a project manager, and I had some back problems, and I fell on the job, couldn't walk or anything, and I drove myself to the hospital, and I couldn't go in the hospital. I had to wait for somebody to come out of the emergency room. And they told me I had a pulled muscle. So I went home from there, and it still hurt, something terrible, and I went to King's Daughters Medical Center in Ashland, and they started running tests on me. They had me doing an MRI on me, and that's when they found out I had an abscess in my back. They sent me straight by ambulance to St. Mary's Medical Center, which was the trauma unit. They had the team on call right then, is why I went there. And that's when they diagnosed me with sugar and the abscess. And if you've got an abscess, it feeds on the sugar, and the sugar feeds on an abscess. And they had told me that my sugar was off the chart, that I was lucky to be in the hospital. And that night, they called my family in because I was so critical they didn't think I'd live through the night. And I spent the next 45 days in intensive care with at King's Daughters Medical Center.
And then you came home.
Yes, I come home. I was in a wheelchair. I was giving myself, I had a PICC line in my heart when I come home, and I was giving myself two IVs a day for a little over 2 months after I came home. And I was getting all the treatments and stuff. I was doing 350 units of insulin a day, 5 shots, and my sugar was still between 300 and 400. It wasn't coming down like it should. I mean, it was down, but not like with all that insulin. And they told me that they hated to give me any more insulin because it was just going to fry me. And I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk after that. And it was a lot of trouble. I mean, people don't know what you go through when you go from never missing a day's work and always active. I mean, even on the weekends, if I wasn't out hunting or fishing, I was always doing something no matter what it was, rain or shine. No matter how cold it was never too cold for me to get out and do something like that. And then, so I went from there to looking at 4 walls for almost 3 years. My insurance, I wanted to have the gastric bypass. And my insurance, that was the only thing, I had the best insurance in the world, but it wasn't covered under that. That wasn't in our policy for the company. So I was disabled from August of '06, and when I finally went on disability in '09, they told me in January of '09 if I didn't have the surgery that I'd be dead by Christmas. So in July of '09, I had the gastric bypass surgery, and that day I'd done 120 units of insulin. I cut my insulin in way over half. And from then, I started losing weight. I came home, and I was feeling a lot better just after the surgery because I knew I was going to feel better. Mm-hmm. I had heart palpitations before the surgery. I had high blood pressure. I was on all kinds of medications and stuff. And after that, I didn't have any heart palpitations. I had to sleep with a machine. I was off of it the same day I had my surgery. I didn't have any more heart palpitations. I quit taking the medicine for it. And I quit taking about everything except my insulin. And that week, I went out and mowed my yard. I felt so good after getting out of the hospital. Then I went out, I bought a motorcycle, and I was still in my wheelchair. And I told everybody I was going to ride my motorcycle. My family kind of got mad about it because they didn't figure there's any way I could ride it. And it wasn't a couple of weeks later, I started riding it. And I went out and took my wheelchair off the back of my truck. I had a carrier for it. And I pulled the carrier off my truck, and I haven't used it since. And that was August of '06. And I bought 2 motorcycles since then. And I try to ride as much as I can. I can ride maybe 15 or 20 miles at a time, and then I have to get off and move around and stuff because I still have a lot of back problems. The abscess I had in my back had damaged from L1 to L5 of my lower back. But I had went to the doctor, my diabetes doctor, and he told me 2 weeks ago that in November, if all my tests come back, that I'm going to be off insulin altogether. I'm doing 15 units of insulin a day right now.
So you've had a miraculous change in your life.
Big change, and it is unreal how much that I've went through, and the way how good I'm doing today. I mean, my brother told me, we ride quite a bit together, and he told me that he never dreamed of me being able to ride a motorcycle. He said, really, I figured you'd be dead by now.
So you have a whole new life.
I do, very much.
And the weight loss and the change, it's taken like 4 years. Am I calculating that right?
The weight loss, I had it in '09, so it's been just a little over 3 years now.
And so tell me how your family supported you during this time.
Well, it was pretty rough. When I first came home from the hospital, before I had my surgery, it wasn't nothing to fall out of the shower once a week, you know, because with Medicare...
When you say fall out of the shower?
I'd fall, getting in or getting out or something like that. I mean, it was really hard, you know, to do it. I wasn't really that big until after I found out I had sugar when I got out of the intensive care in '06. And that's when I started putting on all my weight, because I sat all the time. I couldn't get out and do nothing. Mm-hmm. Couldn't go shopping. You know, that I used to go and buy the groceries for the house. I loved to cook and all that kind of stuff. And you don't know what it's like to sit and look at 4 walls when you've been so active your whole life. Mm-hmm. It just about drove me nuts.
What was the top weight, or what was your weight when you went and had the surgery?
My highest weight was 479 pounds. And today I've lost 219 pounds. And I'm still losing weight today.
It's terrific.
Yeah, and I watch what I eat, but I'll get to feeling bad through the day. And I can't, and then it'll dawn on me maybe 1 o'clock, well, you haven't ate today. And before my surgery, you know, the first thing you're thinking about is, well, I got to take a shot in the morning, so I'd hate to get up out of bed. And the last thing I had to do before I went to bed was take a shot. And I hated to do that. I mean, when you're taking 5 shots a day, you feel like a big giant pincushion. Because that's all I'd done, it seemed like, was taking shots and taking medicine.
Yeah.
And when I first come home from the hospital, my granddaughter, they call me Big Dog. That's what everybody's called me, and that's what my 2 granddaughters call me. She'd come home with my wife every day after school, and she'd come running in the house, and first thing she'd do was to check on me. And I told my wife not to let her do that. I said, you come to the door and holler. Because I was doing so bad, I was afraid that I was going to die. And I didn't want her coming in and finding me dead.
And what's she say now when she comes in?
She sits on my lap for hours at a time, loving on her big dog, what she says.
How old is she?
She's 7 years old now.
Wow, so she's really witnessed a big change.
Yeah, she's seen the change. I mean, she knows that I've lost a whole person. You know, 219 pounds, and it has been hard, but it's been easy too. Because, you know, when a doctor tells you that if you don't have the surgery, you're going to be dead in 6 months, I mean, you've got to do something. And they told me they wanted me to quit drinking anything with caffeine or any carbonated beverages. So the day that they told me that's the day I quit. I haven't had any kind of pop or anything with caffeine in it for over 3 years now.
So you did pretty good in following the doctor's orders.
Well, I was like that when they told me I had diabetes. They told me what I had to do, and I really took care of myself, but it didn't help. I'd done everything that I could do to try to take care of my diabetes, and I really worked at it hard. But it's with the abscess and stuff that I had in my body and stuff. Of course, it was taken care of. I mean, I don't have any problem with that anymore, other than it damaged my lower back. But everything else is just being taken care of.
So you're able to walk and you use a cane.
I use a cane to walk with now. I'm out of my wheelchair. When I do little things, I still have a lot of pain. Mow the yard or something like that. If I don't take a pain pill, I can't do it. I can't stand to do it. And that's the only downside to my where I had the abscess. Was it left me in a lot of pain.
The quality of your life?
It's changed considerably. When I first dropped on the job, they told me I more than likely had a little mini stroke because I have lost some short-term memory. I have a problem with remembering people's names and stuff. I was an estimator for over 20 years, and my job was memorization, just remember how long it takes to do stuff. In 1 month, I'd bid like $87 million worth of work. I love to do it. I love the challenge of it. And it seemed like the harder it was to do, the more I wanted to do it. And I was like that everything I've done. I've blasted. I had my Kentucky powder license, and I think that was the hardest thing, is when I could not renew them because I couldn't go take my training or anything. I had to admit that I'd give up. And that was hard.
Yeah. Have you found some new things to do to make your life meaningful now?
I haven't had any kind of hobbies. I'm trying to find something that I can do. I've made some canes. I've enjoyed that. I'll get out and I can ride my four-wheeler. I used to ride my four-wheeler with my mom and dad's, and it would take me maybe 15 minutes, and now it's 45 minutes. It's that big a change on how slow I have to ride and stuff because of it kind of hurts and stuff to do it now. But I enjoy making the canes, and it's hard to find the wood with a good bend in it or something like that to do it. But I've enjoyed doing that.
Good. So you like woodworking?
Yeah, I like to do stuff like that. Just anything to tinker with. I enjoy doing it.
Well, you might be able to even expand that hobby a little bit.
Yeah, it would be nice. Yeah.
So let me go back again and ask you about when, after the surgery, and there's several years of transition and change going on. How did your family best support you during that time?
Well, it was really hard on them, but they had a job and a career too that they had to take care of. I'd done a lot of cooking, and it's hard to go in and when you can't stand at a stove. So my life has kind of changed. I'd go out in the yard. There was chairs scattered around different places because I could only walk so far at a time then. I was lucky to walk 30, 40 feet after I had my surgery and got out of my wheelchair. And just like going to the doctor and stuff. People don't realize how hard it is to go to a doctor when you can't walk. And it's hard to depend on everybody else, And I was always wanted to do stuff for myself. I don't want anybody to help me. I want to figure out a way to do it and do it myself, and that's what I've done. If it took me 2 hours to drive to the doctor, where it's normally a 40-minute drive, that's what I've done. I would drive so far, get out of my truck and walk around, whatever it takes, and then I could get back in the truck and sit and drive some more. But my family has been really supportive and stuff. It's hard when I'd have to ask them to do stuff that I couldn't do that I've done all my life, and I couldn't stand that, and that kept me going more than anything, is the will to change it. I got to where I would have to watch my feet when I walked because I had neuropathy so bad in my feet and legs that I couldn't see them when they touched the ground. And I'm going to therapy now, and they're using an anodyne on my legs and feet, and that. When I first started going out there, I could feel one spot out of 20 places. Now they tested them the other day, and I can feel 19 out of 20. It's that big a change. And I've had ulcers on the front of my legs from my diabetes, and they're clearing that up too. It's unreal. And the first thing I'd go to a doctor was ask them, what can they do for my legs? And they said there's nothing they can do for it. Then when I was out to therapy in January this year, a tractor trailer pulled out in front of me and totaled my truck that I was driving. And so I started going to therapy for my back again. And that's when he told me, he said, I wore shorts out there, and he said, you know, we can take care of your neuropathy in your feet. And I told him, I said, I've asked everybody what they can do for it. Well, he started treating me for my neuropathy. Then he seen the places, the ulcers on my legs, and he said, we can take care of that with the iodine too. And so they started doing that. And it is unreal, the change that I have went through physically and mentally and emotionally and stuff. That, I mean, it is unreal, everything that I have had to go through from the beginning to the end of my sugar.
Hear that? You know, this project we're working on is about preventing type 2 diabetes, and that's what you've had, is type 2 diabetes.
Yes.
What kinds of things would you suggest to people as things they might do or consider?
The biggest changes that I think is to really watch your sugar intake. My daughter has seen what I've went through. She knows what's going on, and she still goes to McDonald's every morning and has her big sweet tea. And I've been trying to convince her to try to start out with some water or something, or at least go with something that's, you know, that doesn't have all the sugar in it. It just, you know, you've got to take care of yourself. And if you don't do it, it's hard to get somebody else to do it. And there's no quick and easy cure for it. And to me, I think everybody ought to go and have their, whether they've got sugar or not, and if they don't have it, make sure you have it checked every so often. And I'm one to my family, they know that if they're around and they haven't been checked for a while, they're going to get checked by me, because I'm going to check them. I'll hound them until they do. Because I don't want anybody to go through what I went through.
So, do you have diabetes, and do other people in your family have diabetes?
My brother, my older brother's got it's very mild, and my mom is very mild.
So you just had a very severe response to the whole disease.
Yes.
And are you concerned now about your own children and grandchildren?
Yes, I'm on to my children every day about their diabetes, their eating habits and stuff like that. Because I know it's hard to change, but it's easier to change now than it is to do it later, and to go through everything that could go through.
What about in the community here in Lewis County? So your last name's Lewis. So are
Yes.
you related to all of this? How many generations can you trace your family back?
It's been traced back a long ways, but I've lived in Lewis County just about my whole life.
And what kinds of things do you think we could do in the county here to help reduce risk for type 2 diabetes?
Well, the exercise is one thing, but the biggest thing I believe is what you eat. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to watch your sugar intakes and your carbs, and there's all kinds of little things you can do to change. One big thing is get up in the morning and have a glass of ice cold water. A glass of ice cold water will start your metabolism going, where people don't think about that, but it's just like putting a piece of wood in a wood stove. Mm-hmm. It starts building a fire. When you're drinking coffee, that's not helping you, because the ice water is getting your metabolism started, and your body's saying, oh, you're cold, we've got to warm you up, and it starts making your metabolism start working, which starts burning calories.
Did they tell you that after you had the surgery, or
well,
just figure that out on your own?
I watch Dr. Oz all the time, and this week has been weight loss and stuff, and I've learned that this week from there. But I have taken a lot of classes for my diabetes and on how to eat, what I need to eat, and the different things, to help my body to get better and stronger all the time. And I think the weight loss support groups has helped a lot.
So you've been participating in the Diabetes Coalition, the Diabetes Family Matter program here,
Yes.
and how's that helped you?
I have really enjoyed it. We've been having meals this month every Wednesday night, and the meals is great. And there people needs to check into more of that, eating healthier. I mean, instead of going in and grabbing you a bottle of pop and a bag of potato chips, get you a glass of water or a bottle of water and maybe a big piece of fruit or something. Before I found out I had sugar, I had fruit in the back of my truck all the time. And I could live on fruit. I love fruit. And it wasn't the sugars and stuff, because I wouldn't give you a nickel for every cake and pie I made. I never was a big sweet eater.
Mm-hmm.
But I like my potatoes, meat and potatoes and stuff. And I liked it too much.
Biscuits and gravy and
Yes.
cornbread.
I still fix all that stuff. I like to cook, but I never was a real big bread eater. But I still like to fix all that stuff.
How, do you mind if I ask you how old you are?
I'm 50 years old.
So-
50 this month.
So you were pretty young, really, when all of this happened,
Yes.
to really be pretty much told you were going to be disabled for the rest of your life.
Right. Yeah.
So how have you coped with that over this
When they
change?
first told me, I mean, my world just felt like it come to an end. It was really hard. Mentally, it was really hard, because I had been so active my whole life, and that just I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it was just a whirlwind of emotions and stuff, and just being able not to do anything.
And as you're looking towards the future now, what are you seeing or thinking?
I'm going to therapy. I just got out of therapy a little while ago, and they're still working on my feet and legs
Physical
and my
therapy.
back. Yeah, physical therapy, and that's helping a lot. And then I have to take pain medication for my back. Without it, I don't think I could function at all, because I have a lot of problems, a lot of pain with my back and stuff, and I have went through a lot. It just
Have you? Go ahead.
no, people don't really understand how bad diabetes could be until they've had somebody in their family that's went through something like I have.
Have you had to deal with depression?
Very much. It's been a really big fight with that.
So what have you done?
Well, I pretty much kept it to myself. I'm one of those people that I keep to myself, and it's really been hard to fight it, but I have, and I just tried to keep it out of my mind and stuff, and I really got depressed. And that was one of my problems when I was in a wheelchair. When I got up of the morning, I would start eating, and the last meal I had was when I went to bed. My meal started at whenever I got up, and it quit when I went to bed. And that was my biggest problem, and I think that's where I put most of my weight on.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was working, I wasn't that heavy, and I put all my weight on the biggest part of it after.
Have you talked to your doctor about the depression?
No, I had a nurse that would call me twice a week from my insurance company, and I talked to her quite a bit about it.
And
But I was just kind of I didn't share stuff like that with anybody.
Mhm. A lot of people don't realize that there is a strong connection between depression and diabetes, so that many people that have diabetes also suffer from depression.
Right.
And so there is help,
Yes.
and there sometimes are medications that can help as well, but maybe more cane work will help too.
Yeah. Yeah.
More walking on it and making them
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. I have really enjoyed doing that.
I think I've asked you most of the things that I wanted to ask you about. Is there anything else you want to share?
Just the biggest thing is to get out and to make sure that you check your sugar. You know, have the test run. It's not that hard. I was poking myself 6 and 7 times a day to check my sugar, to test my readings and stuff. Then I was doing 5 shots a day. I mean, anybody can go and poke their finger once a day or once every 3 months. If you don't have it, make sure you check it to keep on top of it. Because 2 years before August of '06, when I found out I had diabetes, I had mine checked and I didn't have diabetes. And it's something that can slip up onto you faster than you know.